everyone. Happy New Year. Here we are, January, winter time, and we have a perfect story. An old Native American folk tale, How Coyote Stole Summer. This is adapted by Stephen Krensky and illustrated by Kelly Dupre. The Endless Winter. Old Man Coyote was cold. He wasn't cold some of the time. He wasn't cold most of the time. He was cold all the time. The weather ranged from cold to very cold to freezing cold. Old Man Coyote spent his days shivering and shuddering. Icicles hung from his nose and his toes. Frost covered his fur from head to tail, and he couldn't do anything about it. One morning, Coyote woke up covered with a fresh blanket of snow. As he shook it off, he thought he heard some ice cracking above him. Crackle! Then he looked up. The sound came from Raven. He was cackling over Coyote's head. "What are you laughing about us, Coyote?" Every time I see you, you are laughing at me." "That's because you are so funny," said Raven. "Here you are, suffering in the cold when you could be nice and warm." "I could?" said Coyote. The Raven nodded. "Listen closely. Far from here is a teepee where Old Woman and her children live. Old Woman has a special gift that she keeps in a black bag. This gift is called summer. She will not share it with anyone, but if you could get this summer, you would be warm at last." Old Man Coyote eyed Raven suspiciously. "In that case," he said, "why haven't you taken summer for yourself?" "Ah," said Raven, "I wish I could, but this old woman is powerful. A bird like me would have no chance against her." "But I am only a single animal," said Coyote. Why are my chances any better?" "You cannot do it alone," Raven admitted. "You must take 5 other animals. A wolf, a moose, a stag, an elk, and an antelope. You will also need this powerful medicine that I will give you." Old Man Coyote wasn't sure if he should believe Raven. But what if there was really a chance for him to be nice and warm? That was a chance worth taking. Coyote went to see the other animals Raven had mentioned. They were all just as cold as he was. Coyote told them what Raven had said. They too were a little suspicious. But the idea of getting warm was too tempting to resist, so they agreed to help. "Raven and I have a plan," said Coyote. Then he explained what everyone would need to do. The plan unfolds. Coyote and Wolf crept up the hill and carefully looked over the top. They saw the teepee where Old Woman lived with her many children. "It is time," Coyote whispered. Wolf stepped into the clearing. Then he began to howl. Can you see him here? He's howling. Old Woman's children looked around. "Who is making that noise?" "It's a wolf," said one. "We must catch him," said another. "And cook him," said the third. "And eat him," said a fourth. They started to chase after Wolf, who ran away as fast as he could. Coyote smiled. With the children gone, there was no one to stop him. Slowly, carefully, he crept up to the flap of the teepee. Then Coyote poked his head inside. There he saw Old Woman. She was busy making moccasins and humming to herself. Suddenly she stopped. "Who's there?" she asked. In a flash, Coyote leaped forward. He smeared Raven's medicine on Old Woman's lips. She cried out, but no words escaped her mouth. The medicine had magically removed her voice. Coyote looked around and saw a black bag sitting on the ground. He grabbed it and darted out of the tent. Old Woman still could not speak, but she rushed outside and put a pine branch over her fire. It sent a great plume of smoke into the air. And there goes Coyote running off with the special bag. Old Woman's children saw from a distance the smoke. They knew at once that something was wrong. They stopped chasing Wolf and hurried home. They got there just in time to see Coyote running away with the black bag. Their mother was waving and jumping up and down. She didn't need to say a word. Her children could see what had happened. "Stop, thief!" they shouted. Then they ran after Coyote as fast as they could. The chase. Coyote was fast. He bounded across the plains, holding the bag between his teeth. But every time he looked back, Old Woman's children were getting closer and closer. If Coyote had been alone, Old Woman's children surely would have caught him. But luckily, he was not alone. Over the next hill, he reached the place where Moose was waiting. "Go, go, go," he gasped, passing the bag to Moose. And Moose trotted off on her fresh legs. Coyote turned to face Old Woman's children. But they ran past him without even a look. All they cared about was getting the bag back. Moose ran through the brush. The bushes did not bother her, but they slowed down Old Woman's children for a while. And then they began to catch up. They were almost on Moose when she reached the place where Stag was waiting. "Your turn," said Moose, dropping to the ground the bag. Stag grabbed the bag and ran on. Old Woman's children ignored Moose and kept their eyes on Stag. By now, though, they had been running a long time. They were strong and fast, but they were not tireless. Even so, they slowly gained on Stag. Just as they were catching up again, Stag reached Elk and passed the bag off to her. "Off with you," said Stag. Elk was faster than Stag. Old Woman's children were panting hard as they continued the chase. They kept pace with Elk for a while, but as fast as they ran, they could not catch her. When she got tired, she met up with Antelope, who was the fastest of them all. "Go, catch the wind," said Stag. And off Antelope ran. The sight of Antelope was a blow to Old Woman's children. They had run as far as their legs and hearts could carry them. They hated to admit defeat, but Antelope pulled farther and farther away. Finally, the children came to a stop. A new season begins. Antelope saw that the children had stopped following her, so she made her way back to Coyote's village. There she waited for the other animals to arrive. Elk was first, followed by stag, moose, and wolf. Flying overhead was Raven, cackling the whole time. Coyote was the last to get back. The others gave him the honor of opening the bag. "Let's see what all this trouble has gotten us," said Coyote. As he opened the bag, summer jumped out like a great gust of wind. The animals could feel it at once. The icicles and frost melted away, leaving behind great puddles. All around them, colors spread over the landscape. Flowers bloomed in seconds. Leaves seemed to burst out of the tree branches. The grass turned green as far as the animals could see. But the animals had forgotten one thing. With summer breaking out, it wasn't hard for Old Woman and her children to track them down, and they appeared quickly. "You are a thief," Old Woman shouted at Coyote. "You and your friends have stolen summer from our mother," said her children. "You need to give it back." "I will not," said Coyote. "Summer is too precious to be sealed up in a bag. It should be shared by everyone." "If you do not give it back," said the old woman's children, "we will make war upon you." Old Man Coyote wanted to be warm, but he did not want to fight in a war. The other animals felt the same. "I have an idea," said Coyote. "Why don't we share it between us? You can have it for half of the year, and we will have it for the other." Old Woman and her children stopped to think. They were still angry, but they knew that going to war would not make them feel any better. And they too liked how summer felt now that it was out in the open air. "That is fair," they said finally. And so the animals and the old woman's family have shared the summer between them ever since. And that's a good story about how the seasons came to be, isn't it? There are a couple of things about this story that I think we could notice. One of them is that there was no way that one side could have all the summer all the time. They had to find a way to share. They had to find a compromise for their difficult situation, and they did. And there was another thing I noticed. Did you notice that when they were running away, whenever the children got close to someone and that person passed the bag, like here, you see them running past Coyote? It says they didn't even look at him. They just ran after the next person. Well, what good would it have done for them to look at Coyote or talk to Coyote or punish Coyote? They needed to keep their eye on the chase, and that's what they did. And I think that is such a good lesson, because once something's in the past, what can you do? You have to move on. And the children knew that instinctively. They didn't stop. They kept running and running. Well, of course, you can't keep running all the time. Sometimes you have to stop and eat and reflect on your life. But when you're in a chase, you have to keep going. So that's how the coyote stole summer. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.